I'm Sanjay from IT department final year. So this is a webinar about how to design a clean and consistent UI/UX. So first, we have to know some basic rules with respect to UI and UX related stuff. Then we will jump into a tutorial of an application, Figma, on how to design UI and UX. So we will be designing a UI for a to-do application for in this session. In next sessions, we will be developing that UI in React. So this session will be like 80 to 70% will be of theory. The last part only is Figma. So please bear with me. So what is UI? UI is a user interface, is a graphical layout of an application which literally stands between you and the application. So it's the button, images, the text that you see in a website, is everything is like UI. These are called as UI components. So these components, screen layout, transition, interface animations, etc., which you see in a website are all UI related stuff. Like UI is what to say? Like UI is defining how it looks. That's UI. So that's now you have a better understanding of UI. Let's talk about UX. So UX is user experience. User experience determines how they interact with it, like determined by how people is interacting with your application. So they define UX define the structure of the interface and the functionality. So they design how the interface works, the functionality behind every UI components. All these stuffs are declared under UX category. So like, yeah, have you ever thought why the login and sign in route as a single route or coexist in a single page? Anyone? நீங்க லாகின் ஆர் சைன் இன் பண்ணும்போது ரெண்டுமே வந்து ஒரே லிங்க்ல வச்சிருப்பாங்க, ஒரே ரூட்ல வச்சிருப்பாங்க. அது ஏன் நீங்க என்னைக்காவது திங்க் பண்ணிருக்கீங்களா? So yeah, that's because like when you change minds, like it is hard for the user to go back to the home page and go to sign in and log in. So the process should be instantaneous. Like sign in பண்ண உடனே he has to sign up. So அந்த sign up பேஜ்லயே வந்து உங்களுக்கு sign in லிங்க் கீழே வச்சிருப்பாங்க. So யூசருக்கு வந்து it's like a small step, but it creates a bigger impact in user experience. So we are talking about UX defining the structure of the UI. So how we do that? That's where comes wireframing. So wireframing is defining the structure or the skeleton, like how the UI components should be placed inside a page, how it should be arranged, in which structure, in which place. All that kind of stuffs are done in wireframing. UX designers do this wireframing thing and then they send it to the UI team. So the UI team will be incorporating the UI components inside these structures. So the main advantages of this wireframing is like it provides early visual of the overall look of your UI, and the way you can show this wireframe to a client and they can give some feedback. So it acts as a feedback mechanism. And the most important thing is like it gives the UI designer a confidence so that he can like பயமே இல்லாம he will be placing the components confidently inside the structure. So the disadvantage of this thing is when you're like working with bigger organizations, there will be separate UI team. There will be separate team for UI and there will be separate team for UX. So if in some cases the content which has to be supposed to fit inside a particular structure will not fit, it will far exceed that space, or like it will be more much less data. So in that case the UI and UX team should be in constantly with contact with each other and and revamp all these structures, or they have to work together constantly to make it fit inside this structure. So this is one of the main disadvantages. Wireframing is a good and recommended practice. Every UX designer should do wireframing. People believe that skipping this step makes design process faster or quicker. It's actually not. எனக்கு தெரிஞ்ச பாதி UX designer வந்து இதை பண்ணவே மாட்டாங்க, because like they think that it's a waste of time kind of stuff, but it's actually not. If you a perfect professional UX designer should do this. So next, bad examples of UX. So autoplay videos, hidden navigation, difficult navigation, dark UX disability. We'll get one by one. The first one is autoplay videos. It's like autoplay videos are the most annoying thing a user could experience, from my point of view. And a good example for this is the YouTube mobiles app. Another worst thing about this is like on the autoplay or a video, it will be recorded in your watch history. If you randomly scroll, then some video you are not நீங்க பார்க்கவே இல்லை, but it will autoplay and then it records in your watch history. Then it's kind of a bad thing. It's getting the control from you, like it's not a good thing. So the application should not decide which video you should watch, or which video you should watch. If you ever like நீங்க இந்த மாதிரி வீடியோஸ் வச்சு யூஎக்ஸ் பண்ற ஒரு சிச்சுவேஷன் வந்துச்சுன்னா, don't ever keep the option to make it auto play or like play it in a loop, kind of thing. Give the user full privilege to like play and pause whenever he wants. The next one is hidden navigation. So for this, to explain this, like hidden navigation it's a main aspect of a UI, user experience. So the user has to navigate throughout the application without any hindrance or like confusion. He has to be there should be visual clues in your website to like easily, comfortably he has to move through your website. So navigation is the most important thing. UX, from UX side, you should not screw up in navigation. You should be very peculiar about navigation and make appropriate decisions in designing navigation part. So in medium website, you will be aware of the medium side. So in that side, like when you logged in, there is a nav bar, and if you want to navigate through the site, like settings, design your profile, stats, stories, these kind of stuff, you have to like click on that avatar icon, like in your profile pic icon in the top right corner. So it's like not advisable to do this. User, the first time user will not know there is a drop down exists in that thing. So first time பார்க்கறவ it's like வெறும் profile pic அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு it might be confusing or like misleading. So you have to be aware of what it will consequences of keeping your things inside a hidden space or something like this. So I may ask a question like, what do you think we can do to solve this problem? Anyone? Common sense யோசிச்சே சொல்லுங்க, no issues.
We can add some dots or like visible points.
Yeah, actually yes. Yeah, we can add an inverted triangle, or like someone said, we can use the 3 dots or some kind of stuff, so that it's like, yeah, he actually grabbed what I wanted to say. It's a visual clue, so the user know that there is something there is something, some content is behind that link. You have to click on it to see this. Yeah, thanks. I don't know what your name, but thanks. Next one is difficulty navigation. As I have already mentioned, navigation is the most important aspect. அதுதான் ரொம்ப முக்கியம். You should not screw up in this. For example, it's some college site. I don't want to mention this college names and sites URL and all. I found it like, let's say like I want to open faculty details of a particular course, artificial intelligence degree. You can see I hovered over that thing. So when I hovered, it opens a submenu kind of thing, which is also kind of same tint of the original menu. like can't you see it's like more clumsy and too much of content is fitted into one area. Even and the color combinations are like worst I have seen ever. So this should be இந்த மாதிரி இருக்கவே கூடாது. We should not do like that. You have to differentiate things from things. So there is a main menu and then there is a sub menu. At least you have to differentiate it by giving a shadow or something, or changing its background color, or making it pop outside the box or something like that. So you have to do something creative to make that more readable. Not all people can read that these kind of stuff so easily. They find some people could find it difficult to read and difficult to navigate through this. So I again ask from students like what you will do to overcome this problem. Any ideas?
Probably push that online technology degrees column one step right, so that this comes there, that sub degree summary sub thing.
Yeah, we can do that. Actually, yeah, yeah, okay. Any other answers?
Or when we click that artificial intelligence degree, it may take us to another page where the details are displayed.
Yeah, actually nice. Yeah, yeah, cool. Yes, nice, 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 good. நான் என்ன பண்ணுவேன்னா, like I will be totally changing the color of the original menu and the sub menu, so that it's like I would drop a shadow on the sub menu so that it kind of have a elevated look. I'll show you in Figma later how to do that elevations and kind of stuff and all. So I will elevate that stuff and makes the text bolder, change the color, and like I'll give more of visual clues kind of stuff to denote the user. Next one is like dark UX. These kind of stuff you will be seeing, you will be aware of these kind of stuffs when you using like pirated software. When you're trying to download something for free on these sites, you will be seeing this a lot. It's a pattern or a deceiving thing, or they try to trick you to click something, some other thing. uh, you should not incorporate any these kind of, definitely are not going to incorporate this kind of things when you are doing professionally. What I'm trying to say is, if the client wants a space for ad, then you have to allocate some space for this to displaying these kinds of ads. So what I'm trying to say is, ads are like the worst stuff that user can experience in a website. So make it less worse. Like don't make the ads to interrupt in the user's experience. So he has to go through the site, he has to get the content from the site, from the site. Like அவன் எதுக்கு வந்தானோ he has to do the purpose. அவன் என்ன சர்ச் பண்ண வந்தானோ he has to find that purpose. அதுக்கு முன்னாடி the ad should not be a cross. Like இப்போ some sites விக்கிபீடியாலாம் போனீங்கன்னா, like sometime ஒரு 2-3 months back they are big showing ad like support, donate us, support us. So that's not a good practice. It's like kind of irritating the user to use and it spoils his experience. Next one is like discoverability. Simple சொல்லணும்னா, if you find hard to find a component, UI component inside a website, is this it's discoverability issue. So எப்போ இது வரும்னா, like live இப்போ current YouTube web appல if you have a subscriptions of more than 100, let's say you have 100 to 150 subscriptions in your YouTube account, then it will show the subscriptions in your left panel, this thing, like the menu thing. So if you have to scroll down and select the channel which you want, and it will list the videos that they are posted in the right side. So what they actually did is, they already have a subscriptions tab in the upper section. So uh, do you don't think like this subscription tab should list the channels that you subscribe? Why they are listing the videos? It's a common sense, right? They are like listing the videos of what to say, the channels you are subscribed, latest videos of the channels you are subscribed, but I don't want to see that. Like I want to see the channels which I subscribe to, then I can go to the channel and then I navigate to get the videos that they posted recently. So so these kind of stuffs are like hard. Like when you if you want to like find a channel in your subscription list, then you have to click the menu and then scroll down this through this long list and find that channel. It's like, say if I want to find Linux tech tip, then I have to scroll long way down and to find the one channel among these 100 channels, and then I have to navigate. So it makes a little bit uneasy for the user. So you have to avoid this kind of situations, or like you have to keep in mind that you have don't want to put too much things in the menu. To avoid this, prioritize the valuable content and features. எது முக்கியமான கண்டென்ட்டோ அதை மட்டும் குரூப் பண்ணிக்கோங்க. Keep 2, 5, 6 or 6 links maximum in the menu, so that it's like more crisp and clear what the user has to where the user has to go. Like when you click this, it will show this, like clear இருந்துக்கோங்க. So no confusions, like no more links like this YouTube app. So it's one of the bad examples of UX. Don't ever do like this. The next one, okay, let's see which is a better UX and why. யாராவது explain பண்ண முடியுமா? Anyone?
The
First
right
one.
side one.
Yeah, why right side? Why is
Images
the question?
attract the user more.
Yeah, exactly. இதே கான்செப்ட் தான் வந்து ஸ்விக்கி வந்து அவங்க எல்லா ரெஸ்டாரண்ட் அவங்க ஸ்விக்கி ஆப்ல யூஸ் பண்றாங்க. ஸோ நீங்க பார்த்துட்டு யூ சி வென் யூ கிளிக் எ ரெஸ்டாரண்ட், தே லிஸ்ட் லைக் a menu of their restaurant in which the menu items will be listed. Each menu item will have a name, price, and an image to its left. So it's like psychologically making the user believe that I will get this when if I order this. So it gives more confidence, and like it makes the user think that he's taken a right decision or a confident decision. He will be in not in dilemma kind of stuff. He will be confident in selecting that. That's why we have to use visual clues. That's what I'm telling. Try to use as much as visual clues as possible to make the user understand the content easily. Okay, till now we have been discussing about the UX stuff, what UX is doing, what is UX, what you will be doing in UX, how you will do wireframe kind of stuff. Next, we will move on to the UI side. So the UI team will be doing design systems, and they will be using the components from the design system to incorporate into the wireframe. So what I'm trying to say is like UI team makes the design system, and they use these components throughout their site. Like this is the main reference kind of thing. So design system is nothing but like it's defining a UI component. Let's say you are going to create a design system for SSN CSI website. Let's say you have to like first determine which color you are going to use, and then second step is like you have to determine which are the components you are going to use. In case of SSN CSI, I was using buttons and some cards, footer images, and some heading kind of stuff. So what I supposed to do is you have to first define. Let's say we are going to design for a button. First button பண்ணலாம். So first you have to design how the button will look in a normal state. Normally button எப்படி இருக்கும் உங்க சைட்ல, you have to define for that. And then how the button will look if it clicked, how the button will look if it get hovered by a cursor. So you have to like define every possible state of the button. அது கிளிக் பண்ணா எப்படி இருக்கும், ஆக்டிவா இருக்கும்போது எப்படி இருக்கும், அனிமேஷன்ஸ் வருமா. ஸோ யூ ஹேவ் டு டிஃபைன் எவ்ரி சிங்கிள் திங் in every single sizes. So in one area of your application you will be using a small button, in another area you will be using a large button. There will be different of sizes, you will be different types of, you will be using different types of button throughout your applications. So you have to define each and every thing you are going to use in your UI with all possible states. So design system, you can use any of the design systems available in the internet, but most popular design systems are Material UI, Bootstrap, and Semantic UI. Bootstrap, I think you know all you all know about that. Material UI also you have some knowledge. Semantic UI is nothing but the Bootstrap, but with some dark mode facilities. That's it. So I would like to show the Material UI design system. One sec. Like this is like an open source thing, you can get it in the internet for free. People will be designing apps using this design system, like Android apps kind of stuff. If you are using Material UI in your package, React package, then they will be using this kind of stuff. Let's see. See here what I was trying to yeah, this is a small component in Material UI. They have mentioned all possibilities in எப்படிலாம் அது இருக்கலாமோ எல்லா பாசிபிலிட்டிஸும் they will be mentioning here. Like see, what if the number is in 2 digit, what if the number is in 3 digit. You can see that's what is design system is, nothing more complicated. What if the button is in disabled state, what if this button is in enabled state or like uncontrolled state. So like this you have to define every possible state of an UI component which you are going to use. That's the design system, nothing much really going on here. So you can get design systems like this in internet for free. So it's totally open source. So yeah, next let's talk about colors. Color kind of பார்க்க ரொம்ப சிம்பிளா தெரியலாம், but it's like an extremely powerful tool in your toolbox, but it's also a tricky tool to master. It's like it's hard to decide on color schemes, like because there are like so many possible color combinations. So you have to decide what color you're going to use in your UI, and you should maintain that color throughout your UI. So that's the point of clean and a consistent UI. So first you should know what colors are representing and what they tell people. So red represents power, passion, danger, etc. Orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Blue represents calm, reliability, and trustworthy. That's why Skype, Google Pay are using blue in their UI. And the next one, purple. If I'm right, Malabar Jewelers have a purple background for that logo, for their logo in their ad, I think so. Feminine, black represents sophisticated, edgy, mysterious things kind of stuff. White represents cleanliness, purity, and health. Major health apps are like will have a major color of white in their primary color as white and secondary color as some gray shades or some kind of stuff. So gray represents neutral, formal, and sophisticated items. So you have to like take into consideration of all these things when you design a UI for a certain brand or like certain company. You have to get their values, what they're working on. You have to correlate these things, and like you have to select the color. So that's the most important part. In selecting color, you have to choose like which group of colors you are going to use throughout your UI, which is called color schemes. Color schemes is kind of like என்ன கலர்லாம் வந்து உன்னோட UIல you are going to use throughout the application. So color schemes are like more than 1 2 3 6 types. The most common and most used kind of color schemes வந்து analogous UI color scheme, complementary, and a monotonous UI color scheme. So analogous UI color scheme like it's picking a color in a color wheel and then get the 3 colors adjacent to that color. That's analogous UI color scheme. You have to use these 3 colors uh, in multiple areas in your UI to represent the content well. So one color will be a dominant color while the others are used to enrich the scheme. Like it will using the tint you can what to say, you can show the difference in your UI components. So the next one is like complementary UI schemes. Have you understood analogous UI scheme? Am I clear? Am I making that clear? Anyone?
Yes, we have understood.
Yeah. Next one is like complementary UI color schemes. In this, like select a color in a color wheel and then select a color which is exactly opposite to that in the wheel. So in this case, they selected an orange and then exactly opposite of it is green. So these kind of complementary color schemes are used in used here. For example, this is an app icon from iOS. So it's like the high contrast complementary colors will create a vibrant kind of look. So the complementary color schemes basically consists of only 2 colors. In analogous, you have 3 colors also. So in complementary, you have only 2 colors. So the next one is monochromatic UI color scheme. This is the most simplest of all to create because it's created from different shades of a single color. So let's say we have selected that blue and changing the tint and hue saturation kind of stuffs in that base color will result in multiple shades of that same color. So அது எல்லாத்தையும் we will be using in your UI, incorporating in your UI. There will be no extra colors or some kind of stuff. ஒரே கலர் அதோட different shades and darkness use change பண்ணி we will getting some number of colors that we will be using in our UI. That's it. When using monochromatic UI schemes, you have to be very careful. Sometimes it will be like UI வந்து போரிங்கா இருக்க மாதிரி it will show a picture. So Facebook is using monochromatic color scheme, and analogous UI color scheme is used by Material UI, as I showed you. Complementary is used by iOS icons. You can even use primary color scheme, square color scheme, and triad, tetradic. It's totally your wish. If it's like comes it's like unga company values oda it aligns na, then you can use these kind of stuff in your UI project. So but most of the time you will be using these 3 kinds of color schemes only. The next one is the most important thing, the golden rule. You should never forget this thing, like 6 is to 3 is to 1. 60% of a neutral color, 30% of the secondary color, 10% of your main brand color. Let's say like let's say if you're choosing a color for your design system, for this, select a primary color, select a secondary color, and select a neutral color. What neutral color means? Just like gray. Great example is gray. I will be using gray most of the time for neutral kind of stuff. So your design should contain, overall your design should contain 60% of neutral color that you have chosen, and 30% of your secondary brand color. So secondary color, only 10% of your main brand primary color should be in your UI. That's why, because it's like the best proportion for reaching the balance with your reaching the balance in the colors. Like if you like use too much of primary color, or if you use too much of secondary color, it will looks kind of odd, or like it's not balanced. It will give you a feeling that it's not balanced, and it looks like too much vibrant kind of stuff. It will give you that kind of odd feeling when you use too much of something in your UI. So keep on mind this rule: 6 is to 3 is to 1. 60% of neutral, 30% of secondary, and 10% of your primary. Next, how we have seen like what UX designers are doing and UI designers are doing. Now we are going to see how UI and UX designers both work together. Like first, as I said before, UX designer decides how the interface works, how it should function, how the thing should be structured inside your application. The UI designer decides how the user interface looks. They are only concerned about the looks and the style of the application, not nothing much more than that. So it's like a collaborative process. First, initially the UI team as on their own will develop a design system. As I said, they select colors, they determine what colors we are going to use, and then they will be listing the components that you are going to use in the application, and then they will be defining a design structure, design system. So in the UX side, they will be like creating a wireframe for that particular application, a rough wireframe kind of stuff. This thing should be placed here. This thing should be placed here. They will be defining that kind of stuff, and then the UX team give the wireframe to the UI team. The both team will be like working together on fitting the UI, on placing the UI components inside the wireframe. So as I said before, they try to fit the components, the data, the content, whatever you say inside the application inside the wireframe. Incorporate, the right word is like incorporate the contents inside the wireframe. So sometimes the content may fit, sometimes the content may not fit. Extra content இருக்கலாம், content less-ஆ இருக்கலாம், content-ஏ வராம இருக்கலாம். ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி சினாரியோஸ்லாம் இருக்கு. ஸோ அதுக்கேற்ற மாதிரி UX team will be discussing with the UI, and constantly they will be in connection. It's like an iterative process. They're going to contact each every time, like கண்டினியூஸாக பேசிகிட்டே இருப்பாங்க. நிறைய ஐட்ரேஷன்ஸ் போயிட்டே இருக்கும், நிறைய வேர்ஷன்ஸ் வரும், அண்ட் அதுக்கப்புறம் they will be like settling into a final version, and then the product will be released. So many, if you are working in a bigger organization, then this is the process. There will be a separate UI team and there will be a separate UX team. For an individual kind of, like if a single person is doing an UI and UX, same person like me na, there will be a no problem. Like I can do things as I want. Like I don't want to update the wireframe. If something doesn't fit in the wireframe, I know what has to come. I have an idea in my mind, so I will directly get into that page and like change the things whatever I want. But if you are doing it in freelancing, both UI and UX stuff, this is not at all a problem. But if you work in a team, large organization, then this becomes a problem. So you have to work with the whole another team to create a wonderful UI for your application. So the next is UI versus UX, the two different disciplines that work in harmony. So as the name says, like without UI, UX is nothing. Even if you like design a wonderful like jaw-dropping UI for an application, if the user experience is bad, it's like the worst application. You will probably saying that is the worst application. The same thing goes for the UX also. If the experience is better but the UI is not good, then it's also called a worst application. UI இல்லாம UX இல்ல, UX இல்லாம UI இல்ல. They are like both dependent, but they are very two different things. Like UI is a completely different thing and UX is a completely different thing. They both like should align perfectly and pre-existing users experience to create an excellent UI/UX. So the result would be amazing. As an UI designer, you should be thinking to make your application clean and a simple layout, not like too clunky. You should not like group too much of content. You should not try to make the user to see too much of content in a small area or like in a specific area. You should make it clean. You should prioritize what content it is important for the user எது important அந்த content மட்டும் you should show. That's the purpose of UI. So UX will be like in UX perspective, you have, as a UX designer, you will be thinking from the user's perspective, and forgot that you are a UX designer. UX designerன்றதே மறந்துட்டு think as a user. இப்போ நான் வந்து ஒரு அந்த அப்ளிகேஷனை நான் ஓப்பன் பண்ணா நான் என்ன தேடுவேன்? நான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எங்கே போவேன், எனக்கு எது கஷ்டமாக இருக்கும். லைக் யூ ஹாவ் டு திங்க் ஃப்ரம் தட் பர்சன்ஸ் பெர்ஸ்பெக்டிவ் ஸோ தட் யூ கேன் address some issues and then you can overcome it by solving that problems. So it's like if you are keeping this in mind, the things that I told, the design system, the wireframe, UX UI design பண்றது, it's like not a tough thing, but a, it's a it's a challenging thing. If you understand the concepts behind this very clearly, then designing a UI, it's simple as that. So the most important thing is in this UI/UX thing is like you have to be more creative. You should be creative to do UX and UI, and it's sometimes rules are break பண்ணுங்க. I will be saying the color rules and kind of stuff. You can break it and try what outcome it gives, and if it's nice, then good, go ahead. Create a unique designs. You keep if you create a design, create it like it has to say your name, like this design is done by this person only. Like you have to incorporate your touch in the design. Just don't just copy from somewhere, like, or just do the same thing where you see something in internet. So try different color combinations, try different types of components. uh, Try to ask questions, why this component is rounded on 3-4 corners, why shouldn't be rounded on only 3 corners. And the mari you have to like think differently, be creative, and do amazing UI UX designs, so you can all excel in that thing. So basic theory part full over. Like idu variko you have any doubts? In UI or UX side? The main thing you have keep in your mind is like you have to do wireframe. In UI side you have to do design system. In design system you have to determine colors, components and stuff, and you have to create that, and then you have to work with the UX to build an application. So that's the overall outline of this UI UX thing. If you follow these steps, your UI will be clean and consistent. If you don't follow these steps, your UI will be clumsy. Another example is like if you are using if you are working in a, let's say if you're working in an organization for in a UI team, they will be giving you a design system. So you are pushed into a position where you have to create a page with just the components that they are giving. So like you can use your creativity on placing the components where you want, like that kind of stuff, but you can't change the button format or something. Like if Apple page has it has some kind of blue color button, so it has to be same throughout the whole application. You are not supposed to change a thing, change some padding, or like change the border of the button. You are not supposed to do that. You are not supposed to change the appearance of a single UI component in different instances in a single page. So it has to be uniform throughout the page. That's the key to a clean and a consistent UI. And with colors, with some colors, it's like a more clean and professional. It will give a more clean and a professional look to your application. So I guess no one has doubts. If anyone has any doubts, like you can ask. If you are clear in this theory part, we will be next moving to this live designing of, as I mentioned before, using Figma. No doubts? Okay, cool. UI designing, we have a bunch of tools. First is Adobe XD, Figma, InVision, Axure. If you are using Mac, then I will suggest you to use Sketch. You can even also use Adobe Illustrator, but Illustrator is built for some other என்ன சொல்றது, வேற வேலைக்காக அதை டிசைன் உருவாக்குனது. ஸோ டோன்ட் யூஸ் இல்லஸ்ட்ரேட்டர் ஃபார் டிசைனிங் யூஐ அண்ட் ஃபோட்டோஷாப் டூ. யூ மே ஆர்கியூ தட் இந்த திங்ஸ் எல்லாம் அதுவும் பண்ணுது, வி கேன் யூஸ் அப்படின்னு கேட்பீங்க. பட் நோ, யூ ஷுட் யூஸ் லைக் த ப்ராப்பர் டூல்ஸ் ஃபார் டிசைனிங் த ப்ராப்பர் திங்ஸ். So XD is kind of full of premium stuff. You have to pay for everything. Even if you want to draw a rectangle, you have to pay that in XD. So if you can afford it, very well you can go with XD. Figma is kind of open source, so you can do pretty much everything inside Figma at free of cost. Uh, yeah, there comes like some premium features like 2 or 3 teams create pani, like you have to work with 4 or 5 members updi. You have bigger scale of projects work panina, definitely you have to pay for Figma. But as an individual, as a freelancer, you can very well go with Figma. You can do everything inside Figma. They will be charging you only for extra teams when you're creating extra teams or extra pages inside your teams, where அப்போதான் வந்து they will be like charging you. So அது வரைக்கும் you can use every Figma stuff for kind of free. So Invention, Axure are both are like pretty much same thing. They're providing the same features as Figma provides. What I suggest you to use is like Figma and XD. So if you are a beginner, I will suggest you to use Figma, and if you have knowledge of already have knowledge in designing, you can use XD. So it's like a more advanced kind of animations you can do in XD, but in Figma it's like less complicated, so you can easily understand. Yeah, let's jump into the Figma to do a. I actually did the wireframe. Disclaimer சொல்லிடுறேன், like we are going to do a to-do application. So in using React.js, that's what we are planning to do. In the end of these 4 sessions, you will be having a to-do application in front-end based, and then Chaitanya Mohan will be teaching you how to work it in, make it work actually. So he will be defining the backend stuff, database and stuff, how to get the data from database and update it here. That all kind of stuff will be in the last 4 sessions. In first 4 sessions, we will be in first session we are going to design a we are going to complete the design. From the next sessions, we are going to like develop, start coding in React.js or TypeScript. So first, wireframe I already did. So what I was thinking is, like there should be a left pane with menu today, reminders, tomorrow reminders, later events. Like I was thinking like that, and options for menu. And in the right side is the main area. So right side la I have divided into two. The first side will be like the cards or the tasks which are not completed. So the in the side la இருக்கிறது வந்து right side la இருக்கிறது வந்து they are completed task. So this is a basic structure, like and the top one, it's like a top bar. You can have the user, you can also have login authentication facilities, and then you can list the task based on the user. So it's like a scalable. I'm thinking of a larger scalable application. So I did this user icon for this purpose. Like you can add events like when you click this button, or you can have any other functionalities when you click. This is basically the wireframe. Nothing much is going on here. I'm just defining this should come here, this should come here. It's a basic structure, and there is no formatting or like looks in this stuff. So let's start working. So this is a workspace. This is on the Figma oda workspace. So first you have to like decide which device the application is going to run. So we are going to run this application in your desktop, right? So I'm going to like pick up MacBook. So this automatically gives me a frame of MacBook's screen size. Say, yeah, this is the screen width and height of a MacBook. So you don't have to, it's an UX, actually it's an UX feature from Figma, so that you don't have to search in Google and enter manually enter the width and height of the page. So let's rename this frame as to-do application. to-dos home application. Yeah. What this frame actually does is it's like mask things into it. If I put a triangle inside it, it's like actually mask the triangle into that. So when you're trying to design multiple pages now, you will be using frames. Like for home page, I will be defining this page. For next page, I will be defining another frame. Like that, you will be using frames for defining only pages matana you will be using frames. You should not like create a rectangle and design the whole page content inside this. It's you will not understand initially, but you will be uh, face the consequences of if you use a rectangle and kind of stuff in that. Like future la, if you are using a developing a larger application, that will actually will affect you, and it's not a ideal way. I would not recommend doing that. So these are like pretty basic stuff. இது வந்து rectangle tool, rectangle போடும். அவ்வளோதான். இது ரொம்ப எல்கேஜி கைண்ட் ஆஃப் ஸ்டஃப். லைன் போடும். arrows you can create arrows. ellipse create பண்ணலாம். Polygon star, you can also place images inside this. So these are all kind of pretty basic stuff. So if after creating a rectangle, if you want to edit the properties of these rectangle, you can see here. This is a design tab. Inside here you can change the color, and like you can put stroke to this rectangle. You can change the thickness of that stroke. Like you can like say whether I want it center or the stroke to be in outside or the stroke to be in inside. You can also add effects. You can drop shadow, inner shadow, layer blur, background blur. You can do all this kind of stuff. What this export is for, like if you click this particular layer and export, you can export this as a png inside your system. So it's a feature that is exclusive to Figma. So yeah, next is like this is the move tool, which you're mostly going to use to move things around inside. And then this is a scale tool. The scale tool is like a important thing. Why I'm saying that is like, let's consider this triangle. If I try to I want this triangle to be in the ratio of this triangle. So if I try to like drag this, you can see it's like immediately breaks its aspect ratio. So it's like அதோட aspect ratio வேற. So when I try to resize, டோட்டலா அதோட aspect ratio break பண்ணிட்டு அந்த triangle it's like squeezing. So the triangle you may not see clearly, but if you are resizing a picture kind of stuff, if people attend பண்றதுல யாராவது like designers இருந்தீங்கன்னா, you can understand what I am trying to say. Like if you try to resize it, the pixels will be like pixelated, and the pixel obviously will look odd, or some the aspect ratio will be collapsed. So if you use the move tool, then it's like it doesn't changes your aspect ratio, but it just increases or decreases the size of the object that you want, any object. So this tool you will be using a lot. Keep in mind, you should not break the aspect ratio of any object which you are going to design, because that gives a uniformity throughout your design. So try to use move tool as long as much as possible. And even you can do the same trick with the normal move tool also, but you have to press and hold down shift and like click and drag. Then it will not like collapse the aspect ratio. So, and then another tip I wanted to say, in line, if you want to draw a line, you use line tool, but you cannot draw a straight line with your mouse. So hold shift and try to draw a line, then it will be a straight line in either way. Like if you want an horizontal line, just draw a horizontal line, vertical line, hold shift and draw lines, so that you can like get the perfect straight lines from it. The same thing is like for ellipse also. Like if you holding the shift and dragging it, it will be a perfect circle. If you are not holding the shift, then it will look like a deformed circle, or like more like an ellipse mari or formation மாறிடும். It will be not or perfect circle, it will be not there. So try to hold shift while creating objects, so that the aspects ratio or like its width and height are not collapsed. So the next thing is the hand tool. Hand tool basically helps you to move throughout the page, like scroll, move the page. When you zoomed in, like you use this to move around the page. Hand tool இன்னொரு ஷார்ட்கட்டும் இருக்கு. Like if present hold space, then hand tool appears, you can move around. நீங்க என்ன ஒர்க் பண்றதுனாலும் சரி, you can like simply press and hold down space and then move throughout the space. So the next most important tool which are going to use the most is the text tool, which basically enables you to type text inside. So to edit the text contents, as same, you have to come here the right side. You can align the text as you want using these properties, and you can like change the font. You can change the font's weight. You can change the font's size, letter spacing, line spacing, all these kind of stuff, justify, align middle, everything related to this text formatting will be there inside here. You can like go through this and like you'll find it's very easy தான். You will be like ஒரு வாட்டி work பண்ணிட்டீங்கன்னா you will be familiar with this kind of stuff. You can also add like stroke effects, all these two fonts also. So it's pretty straightforward thing. So I just changed this font's color to white. So yeah, the next tool is pen tool. So pen tool is kind of advanced stuff. What you have to know now is like this tool is used to do like draw with complex and irregular structure. So you can, if you want to do curves, if you want to do some kind of curvy like stuff or curvy kind of objects in your then you have to use pen tool. You can use pen tool to even like, let's say I have an ellipse. You can use the pen tool to actually change the points inside an ellipse. You can deform it. These are called anchor points. So as I said, it's a pretty kind of advanced topic, but you don't want to know it like now. You are not going to use it, that kind of advanced stuff now. So if you have interest, like please do study about Pentel. It's such an amazing tool. You can create wonders from it. Let's do our UI working. So let's refer wireframe. So we have first on the left side like a menu we'll design. I am going to use a rectangle for this. And I'm, like I said, I defined wireframe, but I didn't define any colors or design system. So I have to define colors. What I have in mind is I'm going to use these blue colors. I already defined it. Figma lets you to define colors in your project. So I taken this gray as a neutral color, this gray, and then this blue as a primary color, and this darker shade of this blue is secondary color. So I'm using these three colors in my UI. Then related to design system, let's say, okay, let's like create a separate page for this. design system is just your reference, so go with the frame with whichever size you want. First, we are going to have buttons inside it, and then navbar items inside it, side panel items inside it, and a card inside it. So first let's design for the buttons. So I'm trying to this property, like make it a rounded corner rectangle. Like if you specify this value, or you can click and drag to make it more rounded as you want. So I'm giving this a color. So I'm giving this button a name. Let's say, since it is a general reference for this button, I want to reduce this font size, and I'm using the font propins throughout my, and you should remember one, I forgot to tell that, like you have to use the same font throughout your application. Do not use multiple fonts inside your application. Maximum you should use 2 fonts. That's like one for heading and titles kind of stuff, and another is for the body paragraphs kind of stuff. So you should not use more than 3 fonts inside your application. That is the most important thing that I forgot to tell. Like I will be using pop-ins throughout my throughout this project. So this is how a button in my application should look, a normal button. Let's group this thing. Grouping is kind of like put these 2 layers. Rectangle is a layer, button is a layer. So we group these 2 into a general name, like let's say general button. Then I have to figure out how it will look if I hovered it, how it will look if I clicked it, what animations will be going on. So for now we ignore the animations part. If I hover it, then it should look like, let's say I to try to change the background color and like buttons text into white. So if I hover this button, it should look like this. If I hover this button, it should look like this. If I move the cursor away from the button, then it will automatically look like this. So when clicked, there will be no animations. Like for now, we can design it later on our project. So we have designed the buttons. Next, we are going to design the menu items in the nav bar, this area. So yeah, I'm kind of using more rounded corners because I like it. If you don't like rounded corners, you may not use that. For an active, no. Okay, let's keep this way for now. Figma also allows you to use icons. So you have to download plugins for that. Like go here and like plugins and browse plugins in community. Search material UI icons. You will be adding these things in your project, every project. So icons are like important visual clues. You can use icons wherever, whenever possible. It's taking a time. I think it's like I have not much time to left. Lokesh, are you there?
Yeah, Sanjay, yeah.
It's like time over. I can extend 5 minutes or something.
Yeah. If you can take only 5 minutes, yeah, that's fine. But then, like, I think the time is over.
Yeah, please bear with me, guys. Like I expected this would happen. That's why I already did the UI. So this is our UI. Like I said, I have pretty adhered to the wireframe. Wireframe runner go. Like I try to fix the components, UI components inside this. You can see it's like I used a used my color scheme in a clean, consistent way. So I did not use many clumsy colors. I am having second thoughts of using this red color inside this. I don't know why I put there. So like yeah, this is the end product. This is what we are going to develop in our next sessions in React.js using TypeScript. So you can refer dribble.com and Adobe Stock and Adobe XD sites to like get inspirations, like get UI inspirations from, and you can start creating your own UI. Like if you are interested, take this as a task. Design your own version of this to-do app. In developing in future sessions, we will be developing your own versions. So it will be a nice thing, and can get more out of it. Yeah, thank you, Lokesh. If you want this file or reference kind of stuff, I can post it in also.
If you don't mind, can you share your slides like in a PDF form so that like they can have it as a reference for a preparation?
Yeah, actually, I can do that. Yeah.
And you can send it to me. I'll share it over to them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for Lokesh and the whole CSI team to providing this opportunity. And very, very much thank you.
Sanjay, I have a doubt.
சொல்லுங்க.
So actually, you created the frame size for MacBook Pro, right? So will it fit for HP Pavilion, HP notebook, like anything same thing or?
That depends on how you design, bro. அது வந்து இப்போ நீங்க ரெஸ்பான்சிவ்னஸ்னு ஒரு கான்செப்ட் இருக்கு இன் டெவலப்பிங். ஸோ தட் கம்ஸ் இன். ஸோ இப்போ ஃபார் டெஸ்க்டாப் சைட்ஸ்க்குலாம் யூ வில் பி கீப்பிங் எ ஜென்ரல் டெஸ்க்டாப் சைஸ். லைக் யூ கேன் சூஸ் மேக்புக் ப்ரோ, யூ கேன் ஈவன் சூஸ் மேக்புக் ஆர் 16" சைஸ் வந்து நீங்கள் சூஸ் பண்ணிக்கலாம். யூ கேன் டிசைன் இன் தட் கம்ப்ளீட்லி நோ ராங் இன் இட். எது வேணால் நீங்கள் சூஸ் பண்ணி டெஸ்க்டாப்பில் என்ன ஸ்க்ரீன்ஸ் வேணால் நீங்கள் சூஸ் பண்ணி டிசைன் பண்ணலாம். ஸோ நத்திங் ராங் இன் இட். But when it comes to mobile devices, then you have to decide which frame you are going to use. Only 3 categories: desktop, tablet, mobile. அது மட்டும் தான். ஸோ டெஸ்க்டாப்பில் நீங்கள் என்ன வேணால் சூஸ் பண்ணிக்கோங்க, மொபைலில் எந்த ஸ்க்ரீன் வேணால் சூஸ் பண்ணிக்கோங்க. Pixel 2 XLக்கும் 2க்கும் நிறைய டிஃப்ரென்ஸ் இருக்குது. ஸோ Pixel 2 XL கொஞ்சம் லென்த் அதிகமாக இருக்கும், Pixel 2 வந்து கொஞ்சம் சின்னதாக இருக்கும். ஸோ அது இஷ்யூ கிடையாது. ஸோ அது எங்கே வரும்னா, லைக் வென் வி ஆக்சுவலி டெவலப் பண்ணும்போது ரெஸ்பான்சிவ்னஸ்னு ஒரு கான்செப்ட் வரும். ஸோ I will be teaching you how to write the code responsively. Like the component should align itself according to the device width. That's the most important thing when you're like doing the developing the UI components. So yeah, I think that's answered your question.
புரிஞ்சிச்சுண்ணா.
Any other questions? Anyone want to ask anything? Any doubts?
Thank you. This is Chamundeshwari from CSE department. Thank you, Sanjay Kumar, for joining us today. I hope that all the students were able to follow the tips you gave.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So the next session you will be taking, right? The day 3.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, students. I thank Lokesh